Hello everyone. Razorblade Mango here. So, I figured it would be fun, considering we are a few weeks from the 2-year anniversary of this video, to kind of go back to it and reflect on things that happened in this presentation and things that have happened after it, because a lot has changed since this infamous video. So today we're going to be looking at the PlayStation Showcase from 2023. And for those who are not aware of what this was the last time PlayStation did an actual big showcase. And to the hardcore PlayStation community, this was a notorious showcase because it's so interesting to look at this now and think about it from the perspective of 2025, because a lot has happened since this presentation. This presentation, to me, it's almost like staring into the portal to an alternate reality that we could have entered, where PlayStation's live service initiative really took off, and everything ended up working out for them. They had their 12 live services, all of them were successful, or they tried to release all 12 of their live services, and it just, whatever happened. But a lot has changed since then. Since this presentation, we've had the cancellation of The Last of Us Online. We've had the cancellation of multiple projects like London Studios game, and then that studio ended up getting shut down. Had the cancellation of the Twisted Metal game. We had the cancellation of the God of War live service that Bluepoint was working on, that for some reason existed. So I wanted to kind of just talk about because I really do think this is one. I would argue this is one of the most significant showcases or presentations that PlayStation has ever had, and I'm grouping everything in the mix. Now, to be fair to this presentation, I don't think it's as bad as some of the very, very worst that PlayStation has ever done. I don't think it's as bad as their cataclysmic 2006 presentation where they bombed showing off the PlayStation 3. I don't think this presentation is anywhere near as boring as some stuff like PlayStation Showcase 2015 or 2017. But this presentation, in my mind, is it was a disaster. And the funny thing is, you wouldn't really know you would kind of raise your eyebrow if you were just strictly looking at the likes and dislikes for this video, because it's very positive, the reaction generally on YouTube. But to the hardcore community that waited a long time for PlayStation's roadmap of what was going to happen throughout the PS5 generation, this presentation was like a freezing bucket of cold water being thrown on you. Because you got to remember, this was also their first presentation in almost 2 years after the last showcase. They were keeping very quiet about their future plans. We didn't know what a lot of studios were working on. So yeah, this was a this was a really just, yeah, not a good showing at all. And what's funny is I went back, just so I'm kind of in the spirit of I guess, you know, looking back in time. I actually went back to the showcase reaction that I did to it almost 2 years ago to see what shirt was I wearing. And I laughed when I saw that I was wearing the Bloodborne Hunter shirt that I have, because that was kind of like my way of trying to manifest Bloodborne Remaster into existence. And yeah, almost 2 years later, we still do not have Bloodborne Remaster or anything to do with Bloodborne from Sony's side, period, as far as games go. I mean, if you had told me back then that we would get Horizon Zero Dawn remastered and Days Gone remastered before this for Bloodborne, I would have laughed in your face, but man, I was so naive. But I'm just gonna let this play out. I'll probably mute where I just want to start babbling. So yeah, this is gonna be a little thing, just kind of, I don't know, just sit back and relax. You can have this on in the background. You don't have to watch me babbling over it. You can just listen. So without further ado, let's because I haven't seen this in a while. It's been a while. It's probably been over a year since I've watched this in its entirety. Maybe even more than that, because I know I watched it again a couple times, like maybe a few months after it came out. Because I'm just so I find this presentation to just be extraordinary in all the wrong ways. So let's get into it, shall we? And yeah, so what's really fascinating about this presentation to me is that it's like right from the beginning you're gonna see that the game that they open with, and it says a lot that they still have not talked about this game in any official capacity since this presentation, which is Fair Games. And what I dislike about this presentation as well is that it has all this pomp and circumstance around it. You have all this flashy shit like this. You have these multiple transitions that you're going to see that show the sacred symbols. And it just, it's like there's no rhyme or reason to it. It really just feels like PlayStation did all this just because it's like, oh, look at us, we're PlayStation. We're so cool. We're so cool with our transitions. We're so hip. We're so sleek.
You wanna know about
And yeah, they just end up looking like clowns. Oh, there's the they eat the rich simulator. So again, this even more than a game that's gonna come earlier that was a unmitigated disaster. This got even more shit out of all the other live services in this presentation. This was maybe the most poorly received one. And the fact that they still have not talked about this in any official capacity speaks volumes to me. I'm just watching it. I just go. I just don't think PlayStation when I look at this. I just think. I'm sorry. It's just I know it's such an obvious comparison to make, and it's so played out, but it really does. If you were to take away PlayStation and put any other generic AAA modern American publisher on it, you put EA, you put Activision, even if you put like Ubisoft or any of these other publishers, I would believe it. Or just some any generic publisher. But PlayStation attaching their names to this is wild to me. This QR code still works, by the way. It takes you to a stupid questionnaire where they ask you, what billionaire needs a good spanking? And I remember when I did it, I put in Jim Ryan, and yeah, they probably didn't like that. Because, speaking of Jimbo,
Jim Ryan, President and CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment. I'm delighted to be here today to introduce what's next for PlayStation 5.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for I'm still waiting, dude, for what's like the big roadmap for PlayStation 5, and it's almost like 2 years after this. I mean, I know we've had, Astro Bot and Spider-Man 2 and whatnot since then. I know we're gonna have Ghost of Yotei. They'll probably show that off at the next showcase, but I don't know, man. I've said the opinion that I feel like just because of this man and his decisions, I feel like we have just wasted an entire generation with this. I mean, it's and their live service initiative outside of Helldivers 2 that you're gonna see. It's just, man, what a gigantic waste of potential, waste of time, waste of money for this generation. What's cool about Helldivers 2, like I can proudly say that even at the time, I saw the potential in this game. but I could not have predicted how massive the success, of a success that this was going to be. I didn't, like, when I looked at this, my estimation was, oh, it'll probably get a decent little community. It'll probably sell maybe like 2 million, 3 million copies, and it'll, they'll find a little decent success out of it. For this to become Sony's fastest selling game ever, and I think it's well past 15 million copies at this point. That was unthinkable to me at the time when I saw this trailer. But yeah, I can proudly say that I saw the potential in this game. And it's the only live service in this presentation that I had any halfway positive feelings about, because at the time, and I do think Helldivers 2's monetization is a lot less egregious than I initially thought it was going to be. Like, yes, it still has some of the crap in it, and it does have the occasional blunder, like the Killzone skins being stupidly overpriced. But I feel like for the most part, Arrowhead has actually done a very good job with the monetization and the avoiding a lot of the... there was that time for a few months where it was pretty rough. And then they released the game-saving patch, I think at the beginning of, I think it was either at the end of August or the beginning of September, where they rebalanced the entire game because they foolishly thought, and I'm gonna mute this for a little bit because there's really, and again, it's all these fucking transitions. Like, I don't get this, but I just thought Helldivers 2. I figured it would be decent, but like, even I loved it. And I was talking to people last night about Helldivers 2 because and this game was a massive flop, by the way. I was talking to people about Helldivers 2 last night, and I was trying to explain to them what I thought the secret to its success was. And I still can't really explain how it became the massive hit that it did, but I think one of the things that made Helldivers 2 such a success was that, as I mentioned in the marathon video, they managed to capture an audience that was starving for something. It was a PvE co-op game that focused on a very hardcore, violent, sardonic spirit where you could play with your friends and just go in and have a really fun, chaotic time. And it's not based around doing your dailies and winning certain matches here and there. It's all about just go with your crazy ass weapons and just have a good time. And the fun thing about Helldivers 2 is that even dying in that game is fun. And it produces a lot of funny moments, especially when the physics come into play with Helldivers 2. But what I also thought, one of the reasons why I thought Helldivers 2 was such a big success that what I proposed to the people I was talking to yesterday, was that it's a game that works really well when you watch it. Because there are certain games that just don't play, that don't come off very well when you watch it versus when you play it. And that sounds like a stupid thing to say, because some people could go, well, it's better to just play it rather than watch it. And sure. But, like, for example, Marathon. Marathon is a game, at least from what we've seen of it, playing it is obviously going to be much more enjoyable than somebody watching it. But what's cool about Helldivers 2 is that it's really entertaining to watch somebody play Helldivers 2. Because you almost get the sense that anything could happen. Anything could fly off the rails. And it could turn either into this enormous, like, clenching your butt moment, or it turns into just this unmitigated disaster. There are countless videos I've watched that I've enjoyed because I know what Helldivers 2 is like. And I feel like even if you don't know about Helldivers 2, if you watch a match, like, let's say you're on TikTok and you see a video, like, remember when it first came out, they had the robot Vietnam planet, the Malevolent Creek, And there were a lot of videos of Helldivers going into Robot Vietnam and just getting their fucking shit pushed in. But it was still fun to watch because of how chaotic it was. So that I also think was a secret to the game's success, because it's a game that's really fun to both play and to watch unfold. So that played very well for social media, and I'll unmute here because I'm looking forward to this as well, the Phantom Blade Zero, and from what we've seen of it beyond. So my main issue with this trailer, because I remember when we did the podcast with Clay and Richard, or I did the podcast with Clay and Richard, the postmortem, is that I was very skeptical that a lot of what I was seeing was real, and that's why I didn't make it my favorite game of the presentation. Because I never know with a lot of these games, especially a lot of these Chinese games, but from the raw footage that I've seen of this game since this presentation, it does look legit. Especially when I watch somebody, when you watch like the developers play it in one of their presentation, or you watch somebody who's been to an event where the demo is there, they play it and it's off-screen footage, it really does look like what is happening on screen is possible in the game. Now, do I still think some of this is a little doctored up to look cooler and more smooth than it's actually going to be than in the final product? Sure, I do. But like this boss fight, I've seen this boss fight so many times from so many different content creators, and everything that this person is doing in this trailer, it is possible in this game. Now granted, they do remove the HUD, they do change the camera angles, but it is possible to wall run up and attack the boss. In fact, it's encouraged as a strategy. So, because now that I'm convinced that what I'm seeing is, for the most part, very legit, like this moment when he flicks the table and the guy cuts through it, I don't know if that's going to be a cutscene, or I don't know if you can actually do that in the game. Now, I don't know about this part either. I don't know how this works. This moment, it's like, how is this going to happen unless this is a cutscene? But I do think what I've seen in this trailer for the most part is legit, and that is a very high compliment from me, because I am normally extremely skeptical, especially, like, come on, when I see flashy shit like that in a trailer, my immediate reaction is to go, that looks way too good to be true. And most of the time I end up being right, because a lot of these companies like to doctor up the footage to make it look better than it is. Like, I've seen this countless times from game publishers and developers. But I am still looking forward to this. I do think this looks really, really cool. And I'm glad it's not a damn Souls-like. I'm glad they've made a point of saying, look, we're going to make this more like classic Devil May Cry. Like, it's got difficulty options, it's got checkpoints. Yeah, it'll be difficult on the default setting, hopefully, but... Well, I don't know about difficult, but it'll be challenging on the default setting, hopefully. But I guess, like, I'm just so tired of Souls-likes, for me. That's almost become, like, my Battle Royale, or my, like, hero shooter. Like, it's like, oh, a Souls-like, it's another one. And this still hasn't been shown since the presentation, which sucks. Like, I'm still waiting for this. Apparently it's supposed to come out this year, but I don't know. Giant Squid. Yeah, Giant Squid have said nothing about this other than, oh, we'll see you in 2025. I go, okay. When? Maybe at the next PlayStation presentation. I don't know. You know what's funny is, like, I don't even know if PlayStation is going to have a showcase this year, which is wild to me. It's gonna be almost 2 years. And I really do think this showcase played a hand in PlayStation being very skeptical about ever doing a showcase again. Or they just don't have the content for it because of all the cancellations they've had. But it's crazy because I thought in 2024, they could have had a decent showcase if they had just held off on showing some things throughout the year. If they just waited until the summertime or waited until the fall, they could have shown off certain stuff that would have been intriguing. And with the Pro as well, I mean, fuck, dude. And again, it's like a damn transition. What is the point of that transition? It doesn't make any sense, especially when the next game is like, it's the Talos principle too. Like, okay, why is a transition from Sword of the Sea to the Talos principle 2 worthy of a big flashy trashy, like, ooh, look at us, look at the triangle, look at the square, look at the circle. I'll mute here as well, but yeah, it's crazy to look back at this presentation, man, because this was a big deal when this first came out. Like in the weeks leading up to this presentation, the PlayStation community was super duper hyped. I mean, I was really looking forward to it because this is around the point, like the 2 to 3 year mark is usually when PlayStation finally is like, here's our big roadmap of what we've got coming up. And it happened with 2014. It didn't really happen with 2014, but 2015 they were starting to like talk more about what they had in the works. 2016 definitely they had a lot to announce. 2017 not as much, but by 2015, 2016 in the PS4's life cycle, we had a pretty damn good idea of what was coming next. And that's before the announcements that things like PlayStation Experience with Uncharted: The Lost Legacy and then The Last of Us Part 2, stuff like that, and Wipeout collection as well. But I figured this was going to be the presentation. I figured 2022 was going to be the presentation, but I went, okay, they've been quiet for about, a year and like year and a half, little over a year and a half since the last showcase. They must have something they got to show by this point. Almost 3 years into the life cycle. And no, they didn't. And at the time, I couldn't figure out why. I couldn't figure out why are they only showing off the only games we don't know about are these live services. The only things they showed off that we didn't know about were things like Fair Games and Concord and Marathon and Helldivers 2. But all the new games they showed off were live services. And the only game that we knew about that they showed off that was like their grand finale is Spider-Man 2, which we knew about for almost 2 years. So it was like a sucker punch to the community, no pun intended, but it was like we were just fucking bamboozled. It's like, dude, we thought you were further along than this. Like, where's The Last of Us Online? And then we later found out that Last of Us Online was about to get canceled. And it's like, what the fuck is Naughty Dog doing? Where's their single player game? They wouldn't announce that for another year and a half. It's like, what's Sucker Punch up to? What's Team Asobi up to? What's going on? Where are the single player games that you guys were talking about earlier in the generation? You went, oh yeah, we're working on all these single player games, guys. Don't worry, still important to us. You wouldn't know that if you watched the damn showcase with all the damn live services they kept popping up. Going, look, Fair Games, Eat the Rich. Aren't you excited for that, guys? Concord, aren't you excited for that? You're excited by the Jiggly Burger? Marathon? You're excited by that, right? We spent almost $4 billion on Bungie. Could have put that money towards anything else, but hey, here's Marathon, guys. This is what you want. Extraction shooter. I don't know. They just, oh, here's Foam Stars, for God's sake. Speaking of live services, I still find it annoying that certain people think Foam Stars came from PlayStation itself. It's almost like they forget that Square Enix was the one that okayed this. Now, granted, PlayStation did pay to make this a PlayStation exclusive for God knows what reason. And again, it plays into my theory that PlayStation's instincts when it comes to live services are just wretched and fundamentally fucked. Because if I was somebody and deciding what I wanted to put my money towards, I could watch this trailer and go, no, not happening. You know, I'll pay for exclusivity for Final Fantasy 16 and Rebirth and Remake, but this shit, this Temu Splatoon? No, I don't think so. This rub-a-dub-dub in the tub simulator? No, we're not. No. I'm so glad this game bombed, by the way. I would have been depressed if this had been a big success. I'm so glad, because it just... I don't know how many times Square Enix needs to go back to the gambling hall to try to find a live service beyond Final Fantasy 14 Online that is going to be a success for them. They've tried this so many times now. They've tried this. Like Babylon's Fall and goddamn Marvel's Avengers and this. And it's like, dude, how much pain can you guys take before you just go, enough? Enough is enough. It's like PlayStation.
Ready for the foam star party?
No, and I know no one else will be. So you can fuck off with Foam Stars party nonsense. But it's so interesting to me to watch PlayStation in this presentation try to sell their audience on this live service future. It's very apt to that kind of on the fly comparison that I made when I did my I think it was the Concord is a catastrophic failure video, where I compared PlayStation to like an Italian restaurant that is on a block filled with a lot of Mexican food joints, like taquerias and shit, where, you know, you're not making as much money as the taco places and the Mexican joints, but you're a really damn successful and popular Italian food restaurant. People come to you for a very specific thing. You cater to a different audience compared to these other restaurants. And sure, you'll have some people that only strictly go to your joint because they don't want Mexican food. But what about the people that like both Mexican food and Italian food? And they really love your food. They're not going to want to go to your restaurant if this Italian joint then tries to be like a Mexican food joint. If they start taking things off the menu and start putting more Mexican food on, but the Mexican food is like mediocre and bland at best, outside of Helldivers 2, which is like maybe the one burrito that they made that is excellent, that can actually compare or be better than most of the Mexican joints out there. But the Mexican joints, you know, there's just a lot of them. People are spoiled for options as far as Mexican joints, and they're coming to you for Italian food. They're coming to you for something special, Sony, with your single player games. So why would you try to like almost like abandon that audience to a certain extent and spend more of your time and money? And I don't give a fuck. Like, one of the things that's really has bothered me in the recent months, especially since Shuhei Yoshida left. That's another thing that's happened since this presentation, but you know, Jim Ryan retiring, Herman Hulse becoming co-CEO, and then getting demoted back down to just being in charge of PlayStation Studios and all the software. And then Shuhei Yoshida leaving, and then I think Connie Booth got fired after this. I think after is when Connie Booth got fired. But one of the things that I disliked that Shuhei Yoshida said when one of his interviews where he said, "Oh, you know," and I know I gotta stop this where I did this a lot in the South of Midnight video where whenever I quote somebody or I try to I make like a mocking reference, I go, "Oh," I start the sentence with "Oh." It's a really bad habit that I need to stop because even I'm tired of doing it. It's like a reflex for me. But when I hear Shuhei Yoshida say something along the lines of PlayStation, I almost did it again. PlayStation doesn't force its developers to make live services. It doesn't force its single player developers to make live services. You know? It's their choice. But what I think is getting lost is that a lot of these studios probably see the new initiatives that are being brought in by the upper brass at PlayStation. And they notice that the games that are getting greenlit, the ideas that are getting greenlit, a lot of them are live services. So it's not, I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility that a lot of these studios that traditionally make single player games, like Bend, like Bluepoint, like London, like Naughty Dog, take a look at what PlayStation's upper brass is giving the green light to. And they think to themselves, what will have the greater chance of being greenlit? And what's going to have the greater chance of being rejected? And from the projects that Jim Ryan and Herman Hulse were greenlighting at the time, I think it's fair to say that these studios probably looked at that and thought to themselves, I think it would be a safer bet to get a live service, present a live service to these guys, so we have a greater chance of getting funded for our project, so we can keep the lights on. I don't think that's an unfair thing to think. And sure, it's not forcing these studios to make a live service, but it's a very strong coercion of it. It's kind of like a, well, you know, we like your single player game, but we just don't think it's the right thing for us right now. It just seems too risky. And then they come back with yet another single player game. And they go, yeah, it's still not. It's a great idea, but we just don't think this is really going to work out. And then they see other studios. They look around at all these other studios, and their projects that they're currently working on are live services. Now, this is something, especially in regards to Bluepoint's God of War live service projects, a point that I forgot, a point that I did not fairly consider when I made that rant video. And granted, it's a rant video, so I was pretty pissed off during it. One point of view that I did not consider was that it might have been Bluepoint's idea to do a God of War live service, because they worked on God of War Ragnarok for a few years. They probably got a lot of experience working with Sony Santa Monica's proprietary engine. They have a lot of experience. It's not their first time doing God of War either, because they did the God of War HD collection for PS3. So they got the experience working with this new version of God of War, working with the engine, working with the assets, establishing a relationship with Sony Santa Monica. I'm not going to rule out the possibility that maybe one of the higher-ups, or the person in charge at Bluepoint, decided it will probably be a lot easier to get a project greenlit if it's within a series that we already are working on, and one that is has proven many times to be a success. A big success in the case of the new God of War games. So, what does PlayStation want right now? They probably don't want us working on a single player game, because that's Sony Santa Monica's bread and butter. Unless the rumors are to be believed that there is some kind of Greek spin-off in the works from a different studio. And then again, those are rumors, but considering who's been reporting on them, I'm gonna put a little bit more stock into those being correct. But I do think it's possible that whoever was in charge at Bluepoint or whoever was making these decisions said it's probably easier for us to get the highest chance of success of a green light we're going to get is a God of War live service, because it fits within a series that we've been recently working on. It fits within expertise that we have. It fits within Sony's current, and this would have been around late 2022 to early 2023. But before this presentation happened, and before a lot of the big road bumps started to come up in the future throughout like the end of 2023 and 2024 and the beginning of this year, for the initial live service vision to just collapse. So I do want to entertain the possibility of that, because it's something that I did not fairly consider when I made that rant video. And again, another fucking transition. But I still just I think that speaks to, and let's say even if Bluepoint, whoever was the head of Bluepoint, went up to Sony and said, "We want to pitch to you a new game, a God of War live service." That is still on PlayStation to have some kind of self-awareness, some kind of business savvy or development savvy to look at this proposal and think, this is not what we got Bluepoint for. We did not get Bluepoint in order to have them now make a live service. Now, I think Bluepoint has earned the chance to make a new single player IP, or to work on a new game in an established franchise, or to do another remake in an established franchise. If Bluepoint had come out and said, we're going to remaster Eco and give it the same visual style as Shadow of the Colossus, fine. I don't really care for the look of the new Shadow of the Colossus remake, because it takes away a lot of the specific atmosphere I like about the original Shadow of the Colossus. But that project makes a lot more sense to me, given their pedigree, than a God of War live service. Like, what the hell are we doing here with a God of War live service? What sense does that make coming from Bluepoint? That's not why you bought them. You bought them because of their expertise in remasters and remakes. They've never even made they haven't made an original game in like ever. I think maybe their first game was an original game. I'll have to go back and look, but I really think they have just been a support studio all this time for the vast majority of their existence. So to give them not only an original game after having them be support work on Ragnarok, and even that I find like a waste of time. It's like you bought these guys to do remasters and remakes, and yet you're having them do support work on Ragnarok, when you could have just hired a company in like another company in like Taiwan or India or somewhere cheap to do this work. but you have Blue Point, your studio, your expensive studio in Texas, in the United States, to do this? Like, what? What are we thinking here? So, this is funny too, because I thought we would see Blue Point's next project at either this presentation or 2024. And then when I was like, what the hell is going on with Blue Point? Because they also made that tweet a long time ago about them, like, oh, our next project, blah blah blah, and they did some kind of rhyme. They did some kind of brief little rhyming thing, and they showed off these presents underneath a Christmas tree, and they were unwrapping. Some of them were unwrapped, but the one that wasn't was, people were speculating, what is that? Oh, this game got canceled, by the way. I think, what was this called? It was I almost want to say Night in the Woods, but I know it's not that. Night in the Woods came out ages ago. What the hell was this called? But anyway, y'all get my point about Blue Point. It was just, and now they've been set behind a number of years, and I hope to God Blue Point is not put on support work forever, man. I just think what a giant waste of time, what a waste of potential for them. Revenant Hill, that's right. Well, I don't have to worry about it because it got canceled, sadly. I think the studio fell apart. I think that's what happened. But dude, if I had a shot every time we did a transition, I'd be dead by the end of this video probably. But yeah, it's as you'll see later as well, it's, I think something that's really alarming about this presentation is that it kind of put an even finer point on PlayStation does not give a fuck about being niche or quirky anymore, or having any kind of personality or unique identity. It's all about them being this brand where they have all these the transitions. They're talking about fucking movies. They're talking about earbuds and the Portal that shockingly went on to be a big success for them. But this whole presentation to me has just no style. It's just so sterile and cold, and there's no rhyme or reason to any of this as well. And I just think whoever chooses their content for their presentations just mainly sucks at their job. I'd say there have been a few state of plays and presentations this generation that have actually been really good, and they actually did get the content curation right. But this is not one of those times where they did that. This is like, dude, Street Fighter 6 is about to come out in less than a few weeks. Why is this here? You have Final Fantasy 16 showing up again, spoiling the game again, which is very typical for Square Enix. And they have fucking Assassin's Creed and the Gran Turismo movie trailer that you'll see later that was totally ridiculous. I don't get it. I just don't get it. That Gran Turismo movie trailer thing in particular was like, what the fuck was that? Why is a movie trailer in this thing? Do you think people are watching this show, your first showcase in almost 2 years, and want to see a damn movie trailer? I don't think so. So, no. But it's going to come up later as well. But it's so interesting to, I'm saying interesting a lot, but it really is. It is quite, it's quite a thing to watch this with some hindsight and look at some of these games, because either they were total failures or they went on to be canceled. Like Revenant Hill got canceled. Foam Stars was a big flop. Fair Games has been MIA for years. Concord was a legendary, cataclysmic failure. Marathon still hasn't come out. We only just recently got the fucking alpha and the presentation that was earlier in April. And then Destiny 2 is in a weird spot now. I know they're gonna have that presentation soon that shows the future, but yeah, it's so strange to watch this after everything that has happened with PlayStation. But this game actually, I was curious to pick this up. I kind of am now more because I've at first I was turned off of picking this up because it was roguelike. But strangely enough, over the last year or so, I've actually kind of grown a little bit of a fondness for roguelike. The deal breaker that it used to be, because I've played things like Balatro that I absolutely love. I've played things like Blueprints, which is extraordinary roguelike puzzle game. I think Balatro was the thing that really like opened my eyes to the possibility of roguelikes, because I find that game just to be super duper addictive. And then also it's funny to see the PSVR 2 rollout in this presentation, because that system is basically not dead, but it is really, really, really scaled back compared to what I thought it would be. And outside of I almost said Call of Duty, outside of Horizon Call of the Mountain, we haven't gotten a single a new first party game for PSVR 2. We got quite a few first and second party games for PSVR, like Astrobot Rescue Mission. What is it called? The Persistence, not the Persistence. What the fuck is it called? What is the one? Not Rush of Blood, because that was the PSVR 2 one. Or what is it called? The Patient? Or something like that from Supermassive? It had I think they had some kind of roller coaster. Didn't they have some kind of roller coaster thing for PSVR 1 as well? From Supermassive? Or am I tripping? Or am I thinking of just PSVR 2? That Until Dawn... Or no. Oh, no, that's what it was. It was Until Dawn Rush of Blood for PSVR 1. And then it was some Dark Pictures anthology thing for PSVR 2. That's right. I'm like blending the two in my head. I mean, they are pretty similar outside of the precision controls that the PSVR 2 has. The dual wielding stuff. But yeah, that system, I just don't know why they bothered with PSVR if they're not really going to take it seriously, because I feel like other companies like Steam and Meta have kind of just eaten their lunch when it comes to VR. So I just thought it was a really dumb... I don't know who greenlit that. I want to say it was Shuhei Yoshida, who was more the champion behind that, because they must have been working on that for a long time. You know, Shuhei Yoshida, I think he's brilliant, but I don't think he's perfect when it comes to his record. So, and I just don't think PlayStation really did enough to support it at all. The fact that it didn't come with a connector to your PC day one is like baffling to me. But yeah, here's Dragon's Dogma 2. I have yet to play this. It's probably going to be a while before I play Capcom's next big release, which is probably going to be Onimusha. But yeah, I know Concord is going to come up later in a bit, and I've already talked about Fair Games. I've talked about. I really do wonder what's going on with Fair Games. I really would love to know. I would love to be a fly on the wall at Haven and maybe some of their meetings to kind of figure out what's going on or what their mindset is behind this, because they cannot release that game with the same tone and character designs that were in that trailer. They can't. That would be commercial suicide to do that. To come out and go, "Oh, here you go, guys. Here's..." God damn it, I did it again. To come out and go, "Hey guys, here's our heist, our PvP VE heist shooter that has characters that look like they fell out of Watch Dogs and Fortnite, and they say shallow platitudes like 'eat the rich' while they steal from billionaires to fill their own pockets with loot and diamonds and whatnot and jewels." How relatable. Yeah, "eat the rich," guys, said the multi-billion-dollar corporation making a greedy fucking live service. The lack of self-awareness of something like that is just... It never fails to make me laugh when I think about the lack of self-awareness that Haven and PlayStation had when they went, "Yep, Fair Games," gave them the thumbs up, and then when they spent more time on it, they went, "Looks good to us. Let's buy you." It's another Firewalk situation where I can't be the only one who thinks Fair Games, no matter what they do with it, is going to be DOA, right? I can't be the only one. I don't think it's going to be as bad as Concord. I don't think it will be. Because I know that's the new thing when a mediocre looking live service comes up, especially when it comes from Sony or one of their studios that they own, like Bungie. Like what happened with Marathon, where people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about going, "Look, Concord 2, baby! It's happening! It's gonna come out and make Concordillion dollars," which, that's a funny meme, but I'm already tired of people comparing the next big live service to Concord, because Concord is such a uniquely abysmal failure. Not just for PlayStation, but just for the AAA games industry in general. Just for the video game industry in general. It's such a unique failure. So, I don't think Fair Games is going to suffer the same fate as Concord, because I think the benefit that Fair Games has, like I've said before, is that Concord happened. So, I wonder if they learned some kind of... I wonder what kind of data they learned from Concord to improve Fair Games. Because again, they can't release Fair Games the way it looked in the trailer in this. If they do come back later this year or early next year, they can't come out and go again with these Watch Dogs Fortnite looking ass characters with these bland designs and then have them go, "It's all the billionaires' faults that we're not wealthy. Steal, eat the rich," while they're hawking a battle pass and fucking limited time item skins and whatnot, and stupid tote and banners and icons and whatnot. They can't do that. We all know damn well what's going to happen. That's why I'm so convinced that that game's going to just be a bomb when it comes out. Not a Concord bomb, but I have so much confidence in that being a bomb. In fact, I'm so confident in its failure that, and you guys can clip this. You can clip it. You can use this against me. If Fair Games comes out and is a big success for PlayStation, or let's say Fair Games comes out and it is a success. And by success, I mean it gets over like 100,000, 200,000 players at launch on Steam. It makes a lot of money. It sells a lot of copies for PlayStation. I'm talking millions of copies. It's a huge hit. It's popular. I will buy a Fair Games shirt and I will wear it on camera for the next year anytime I do a live stream or a video like this. I'll make it my streaming shirt. I am that confident. Clip this. Clip this. I will clip this myself. And I will put this up before this video comes out. I am that confident in Fair Games being DOA. I really am that confident in it. Or I'm that confident in that outcome. Unless Haven and PlayStation have just dramatically changed things behind the scenes, which I'm predicting they're going to have to do if they have any semblance of self-awareness and they have any kind of ability to learn and change and adapt. Because they have to know people are sick to death of these character designs and these fucking this hypocritical crap, political crap that they're spewing. They have to know that people are sick of it. I'm fucking sick of it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it from PlayStation about eating the rich. Not when a dumbass like Jim Ryan makes these terrible decisions for this company that ends up having people lose their jobs, like hundreds of people lose their jobs, and like beloved studios getting shut down. I'm not talking about Firewalk. I'm talking about like London studio and Japan studio getting fucked over. I don't want to hear it from Sony. I really, really do not want to hear it. I don't want to hear this eat the rich simulator crap from them. But yeah, take that to the bank. If Fair Games is not a huge flop for PlayStation and is actually a decent success for them, I will buy a Fair Games shirt if it is available, and I will wear it on camera for the next year after Fair Games comes out. I'll do it. I will do it. I'll post it on Twitter. I'll send it to my friends. I'll do it. Like I am that confident that Fair Games is going to flop. I'll do it. But anyway, fucking Concord is about to come up. So I know people point to the reveal that Concord had in 2024 at the State of Play in May. And they go, this is the moment where Concord died. But I would argue that even in this presentation, again with another fucking transition, another useless transition, that this trailer did them no favors either. I'm not talking about I love this marathon trailer, by the way. It's a shame that the final game doesn't really look like this, but it is what it is. Because when they showed off Concord in this for the first time, if you didn't go to the PlayStation blog afterwards, because I was stunned by the number of people who were surprised when it was shown off for the first time in 2024, the gameplay was shown off, and it was people were shocked that it was a PvP hero shooter. Because I knew that's exactly what it was even back in 2023. I knew what it was because they told you what it was when they announced that PlayStation was partnering with Firewalk. They said it in the blog post to their credit that, hey, we're making a PvP game with these guys. I knew it from the very beginning. I think in like 2021 or 2022 when they announced the studio. So, and again, like with this trailer that's coming up for Concord, where they show just the ship and then the Jiggly Burger physics, if you didn't know that, you would have no idea, if you didn't look at the PlayStation blog afterwards and see that they specifically say it's a PvP shooter, multiplayer game, you wouldn't know. It would not tell you anything. And it's not like Concord is some established IP. It's not like you could get away with that kind of trailer if you were making something like Ape Escape or Killzone, where people know exactly what it is because of an iconic image, an iconic element of it. Like, if you were to make a CG trailer, like a 30-second CG trailer, like the Concord was here, and just have like a short voiceover of like what would the Killzone say? Like, we will go into this battle and we will wipe out the enemy and we will show them the steel of our boots and the might of our bullets. We will reclaim our planet. And then it flashes the Hellgast eyes and it just says Killzone. Like, I don't even like Killzone overall as a franchise. I really like Killzone 2. All the other games I played, I don't care for. But if they did that exact trailer, that exact 30-second trailer where they just show a CGI image of space or a wrecked battlefield, and they had that voiceover from a commander of like, we will show them the steel of our boots, the might of our bullets, we will remove this horde army, and then it shows the flashing eyes, the red iconic flashing eyes of the Hellgas, and it just shows Killzone. Even I would be fucking stoked by that trailer. I would get hyped. And I don't even like Killzone overall, but it would get that rise out of me. Having something like this where it's just a fucking ship and a burger, and then it shows Concord, like that's supposed to mean something. I think that immediately turned people off of what Concord was. And that was clowned on for a year where they went, oh, look at, god damn it. Where, I gotta stop that. It's a bad habit where people looked at that trailer and went, look at the jiggly burger physics, guys. Go back and I'm shocked that the Concord trailers are still on PlayStation's official YouTube channel, by the way. Go and look at those original trailers and see how negative the response was, even back in 2023 with that first trailer. Fuck Gran Turismo movie trailer here, by the way. I end up liking this movie, but this trailer just... No, not here. But... So we've come this whole way in this presentation, and we've only seen we've only seen 2 first-party games at this point. Because Helldivers is second party, and Marathon, they that's not PlayStation first party. And Bungie isn't either. I don't count them among first party like PlayStation Studios. So we've only seen 2 first-party games by this point, which were Fair Games and Concord. No gameplay, live services. We have no idea what to make of it. So, and now we end with Jim Ryan talking about the fucking earbuds and the portal. And it ends with Spider-Man 2, which was the most predictable thing they were going to show. Just terrible. Just such a terrible presentation overall for PlayStation.
HD screen and all of the buttons and features of the DualSense wireless controller.
I know Portal is a success, but I still think it looks ugly as shit. It looks like somebody broke a DualSense and then just slipped it over the 2 sides of the iPad. Dude, we don't care about the fucking earbuds, man. We're here for the games. For fuck's sakes, Jimmy boy. Oh, and this line coming up is hilarious.
We hope today's showcase demonstrates our continued commitment to delivering experiences that surprise and delight our players.
Okay.
I want to thank all
whatever. Imagine hearing that from Jim Ryan, where he says, "We know this. This presentation has shown you the variety and the breadth of what we have." My dude, you have 3 live services. The only games so far that have PlayStation Studios branding in this presentation, all 3 of them are live services. And the only game you're showing from first party that's single player We already known it's existed for almost 2 years at this point. What the fuck are you talking about? You've shown us the depth and breadth of your variety of whatever the fuck you have. Just corpo garbage nonsense speak. So, yeah, it's really interesting to look back on this. It is. Sorry, I use the adjective interesting a lot, but I really do think this presentation was more consequential for PlayStation than people give it credit for. Because I find it telling that they haven't had a presentation, an actual showcase since this. And from what I heard from people who spoke to Sony people or PlayStation team members behind the scenes when this first dropped, I guess they were surprised by the very loud negative reaction in some circles to this, especially the more hardcore community. Because I'm sure a lot of the likes in this YouTube video come from just normies who probably watch this and just go, wow, look at all these games. Or they just look at it and go, I'm going to drop a like for Metal Gear Solid Delta. Or they drop a like for the Spider-Man 2 footage at the end. Or, I don't know. You could drop a like for any reason on this video. But I don't think the like to dislike ratio changes the fact that this was, in my opinion, a notorious presentation for PlayStation. And it really solidified to me. It's like this whole presentation to me was like an omen. You remember back in olden times, they would have superstitious beliefs where, let's say, a child was born on, let's say a family, a mother was giving birth to twins, and you had one twin that was born first, and then the second twin is born, but at the same time the twin is born, a blood moon is rising, or there's some kind of astrology sign that's in the sky that this culture believes in. And they see that as an omen of the child, and they treat the child, the twin, differently, even though they were born at almost the exact same time, just minutes apart. But because of superstitious beliefs, they see the child as an omen. This is like an omen of things to come for PlayStation. And like I said at the beginning of this video, it's like a peek into a portal that leads to an alternate reality, where PlayStation did stick with their live service initiative, their gung-ho live services galore initiative that I could have told them many years ago was a bad idea and that they should not be pursuing this. Maybe pursue 1 or 2 or 3 live services, maybe 3 at most, but don't do this 12 live services thing and then have your company, your in-house studios working on multiplayer games instead of the single player games that we all know and like from PlayStation. I don't know. It's just this whole thing was such a stupid fucking idea. I just don't, outside of greed, I just don't get it. I just don't get the plan that they had. It makes no sense to me. It would make more sense if they had just stuck with 3, but to go all in on this crap where you're having 12 of these fucking things, cannibalizing each other, competing with all these bigger games that are out there, it's just... And then the lack of imagination in their first party with just generic shit like Concord and Fair Games, it just... That's the other thing too, and I've mentioned this before, is that I feel like this presentation shows off, it represents the initial mindset behind this live service initiative, where they were kind of just throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks. Doesn't matter how generic it looks. They're not careful at all with the kinds of projects they're investing money in. They're not being careful with the kind of studios they're getting into bed with. Again, I don't have some MBA at Harvard, but I could have told you that getting into bed with Firewalk and Concord was a bad idea. If you really wanted to go through with it, keep them as a second party. That way you could have gotten rid of them a lot less costly and just sever your partnership with them. Like you did with Ready at Dawn after the Order 1886, like you did with Lucid after Destruction All-Stars. Like you did with Quantic Dream after Detroit Become Human. You don't have to buy these guys. And what's so funny is that the studio that they have chosen not to acquire yet, or haven't been successful at acquiring, is the one that ended up making the most successful multiplayer game in their entire history as a console, with Helldivers 2. And at this point, I really don't think Arrowhead should allow themselves to be acquired by Sony. I wouldn't if I was in charge of Arrowhead. Considering how quickly they've shut down some of the studios they've acquired over the recent years. I mean, fuck, the one we never talk about is Neon Koi, which was acquired when it was named Savage Game Studios. And that's another one. That was that game, with that mobile game they were working on, was in development hell for such a long time. And yet PlayStation decided to get in bed with them? I don't get it. I don't get the mindset behind that. And then also they got into bed with Fire Sprite. It's another damn studio with fire in front of it. And we haven't seen anything from them since they were acquired by PlayStation, outside of them collaborating with Guerrilla Games on Call of the Wild, or Call of the Mountain that flopped. Because from what I hear from reports, that studio is a PR nightmare right now. Or it's an HR nightmare. Sorry. It's an HR nightmare right now. That studio has a lot of problems if the reporting is to be believed. And they had 2 of their projects canceled by PlayStation. Actually, no. I've heard mixed reporting on one of the projects. So one of them, obviously, that was canceled was the Twisted Metal game. Which, ironically, I think would have made one of the most sense as a live service for them. And then you have there was this Battle Royale that they were working on that got leaked. But I think they ended up, I've heard reports that either it got canceled or they sold it to another company for some cash. And their project, their dark horror game that's apparently, I assume it's going to be Until Dawn 2 that they're working on. But that still isn't ready. We haven't seen anything from Fire Sprite in a long time. It's an HR disaster over there. And again, PlayStation did not need to get into bed with them. They did not need to acquire them. They have done nothing. Almost all the studios they have acquired this generation have produced 0 good things for them. The only one has been Housemarque. And even then, they bought Housemarque after Returnal, but does anyone doubt that Saros is going to be anything less than a bare minimum good? Because I've grown to have a very soft spot for Returnal. Even though I have big problems with it, I think that is one of the most unique games that PlayStation has been a part of in a long time. It's very different from their usual wheelhouse of stuff. And I have a feeling Saros is going to be at least good. But look at all the other studios they've acquired since this presentation, or before this presentation. Haven, working on Fair Games, that's been MIA for a long time. Firewalk with Concord, that's self-explanatory. You got Savage Game Studios, that ended up being renamed to Neon Koi, working on the mobile game. Got shut down the same time as Firewalk. Fire Sprite, collabed on Guerrilla Games with Call of the Mountain that flopped. Haven't released a game since then. Had the Twisted Metal game in the works that got canceled. Had another Battle Royale in the works that got either canceled or sold to another studio. You got Bungie. Do I need to say any more? I mean, Marathon isn't out yet. Marathon might be a big success, even though I'm highly skeptical of that. But again, what have they acquired this generation? Blue Point? Blue Point that they've been wasting this entire time since they were acquired in 2021? What have they done with the studios that they've acquired? What good things have come out of it? The only ones that have been good are the ones that make sense to me. I mean, Blue Point makes sense to me, but they've totally wasted Blue Point over these last 4 years. Having them be a support team on God of War Ragnarok, and then having them work on a God of War live service of all things. I mean, sure, two of the support teams have been very good for them, with Valkyrie doing support work. You got Nixus doing PC ports and remasters and remakes, which even then, some of their PC ports recently have been disappointing from what I understand, like the Spider-Man 2 one and the Last of Us Part 2 one. And then there's Housemarque, which haven't released a game since they were acquired, but again, I'm pretty sure Saros is going to be quite good. So, this whole presentation was like an omen of things to come. And to be perfectly honest, I didn't really care for... and I might as well end it with the fucking montage at the end. I didn't really care for Spider-Man 2 all that much, but it was fine. I didn't think it was great, very good. It was just fine. But anyway, that was the PlayStation 2023 showcase. That just, even today, among the PlayStation hardcore audience, this was like a bad omen of things to come. Where we were just getting fucking knocked for years on some of their stupid decisions that PlayStation were making. I mean, this had everything. This is like, oh, look at us, we're gonna be... They had, look at us, we're becoming more mainstream, we're becoming more sleek, reliant less on personality. Here are our live services. Becoming this big mainstream brand, this big global mainstream brand. We no longer just care about making cool little video games. Now we're a big global brand that wants to do TV and movies. And please pay attention to our Gran Turismo movie trailer that we put in the middle of our game showcase. Our first game showcase in almost 2 years. By the way, reminding you again. So... that's actually a funny image to end that on. Hold on, I'll pause it. That's actually a funny image. It's very representative of what this presentation was. This was like me after the presentation, where I just had blood on my shirt from watching PlayStation totally just butcher this opportunity, and I'm just staring at it in agony. Because I was so disappointed when this presentation ended the first time I saw it. I mean, I'm still disappointed in it now, but I should have known. I mean, speaking of omens, I really should have known what this presentation was going to turn into when they started with fair games of all things. So it's quite a shame, because this really could have been a golden opportunity for PlayStation to flesh out a good roadmap for them this generation. It's crazy because I think this was a terrible year to do a showcase. I think 2022 would have been a more appropriate year to do one, because they had Horizon Forbidden West, they had Gran Turismo 7, they had God of War Ragnarok, they had Last of Us Remake. You could have shown or you could have just waited until earlier in, you could have just, or later, you could have waited until January to do a showcase. Where by that point they had trailers for what is it? Death Stranding 2, they would have shown off Stellar Blade again, they would have shown off Rise of the Ronin. I know Rise of the Ronin, I really disliked Rise of the Ronin, but you know, it would have been something. Until Dawn remake, which, oh my god, that's another one. We got an Until Dawn remake before we got a remaster of Bloodborne or a 60 frames patch of it. Fucking bizarre, man. So I think it's appropriate for me to end on this image because I find it very emblematic of my feelings, very representative of my feelings of this presentation overall. But if they do end up doing a showcase later this month or early in the summertime, I mean, I hope to God it is better than this. Like, I really don't. I mean, I guess it could be worse. They could not have shown Helldivers 2. They could not. They didn't have to end with Spider-Man 2, which at the time, you know, was like the only way. You know, it's like the only fucking single player game at this. They could have had a presentation that only showed 2 first-party games, and it would have been Fair Games and Concord, the 1-2 punch. This is also why I consider Fair Games, Marathon, and Concord the 1-2-3 punch of the initial wave of this whole live service thing, and I guess Helldivers as well, but more so Fair Games, Concord, and Marathon, because PlayStation owns the studios that are doing them, whereas they don't own Arrowhead, thank God. So, anywho, that's gonna be it as far as this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I know this is a very long one, but I hope you all use it as a podcast or something, wherever you are, if you're working or doing homework or playing video games or something. But anywho, that's going to be it for me. So, hope you all have a good rest of your day, and I will see you guys next time. Take it easy.